Back here with Antone Walker, we're talking Kawhi Leonard. According to reports, the Raptors' all-everything superstar is being slowed down by a knee issue, which stems from him overcompensating for a quad injury, the same right quad injury that forced him to miss all but 9 games last year in San Antonio. This Raptors team, we know this, it begins and it ends with Kawhi. So, Antone, I ask you, even though he's not 100% healthy, does this Raptors team need more from him moving forward?
I don't think they need more from him. I think they need him to play smarter. And what I mean by that, he has to take a page out of Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James' book, where you got to get your teammates involved early, and he has to pick his spots. He has to go back to the game one mentality. I don't mind if he gets 14 shots. As long as he's passing the ball, being a willing passer, making other guys try to score the basketball. We know he's capable of getting his own shot when he wants to, even though he's hobbled a little bit, because he got to the free throw line 16 times. So he can still do that, but he has to force these other guys to be aggressive. He needs some scoring. He needs Kyle Lowry to step up, averaging 10 points, shooting 30%, and obviously right now in the finals. He also needs Marc Gasol to be consistent and to be aggressive. And then the missing link, and for some reason, we're not talking about him enough. Serge Ibaka has to come to play.
Yes.
You know, he's another guy that's been there. He's played in meaningful playoff games. He understands the moment. They need him to step up and play well.
He can give Boogie and give Draymond some problems with his length and ability to be able to play defense, but he just hasn't been. Can he be consistent?
But I like what Kawhi's at offensively. Obviously, you would like to shoot a better field goal percentage, but he's getting to the free throw line. I think he just has to pick his spots. If the game is going smooth and, you know, it's a 2-4 point game, he doesn't have to force it, take on the double teams. He can still be a willing passer, make sure guys get shots and keep them involved, and get himself prepared for the fourth quarter where he can take over a game. I think, you know, game 2, he had to force it because they struggled so much to score the basketball in that second half, so he forced it a lot. But he still can be a willing passer and still be able to get his shots, especially if Klay ends up not playing.
With all the shooters that we have in the NBA, very seldom do we ever see teams double team, especially perimeter players, and force the ball out of hand. All these players, KD struggled a little bit with it. He's 7 foot, so he can pass over it. Steph struggles all the time. Kawhi has struggled with it. From a basketball standpoint, with Kawhi getting double teamed, give me something else that he can do where he can be more aggressive. Because, man, it seems like he's backing away from the double team. Do you think he should be doing something else?
I think he should take the ball out of his hands and post up.
Okay.
And really try to post up to about the 15-foot area where he's got a shorter, he can get to the basket, open up, shoot his 15-foot jump shot. We haven't seen him do a lot of that. His fade away. He got a great mid-range game. Get to your mid-range game, especially if you hobbled a little bit. It's going to be very difficult for him because he doesn't go fast to split the double team. They do a good job of corralling, especially when it's Draymond Green, and he's got great hands. So he's got to do more posting up. And this is the thing. Nick Nurse is supposed to be the offensive guru. That's what they hired him for. He has to figure that out because you're putting a lot of pressure on Kawhi to ask him to bring it up, walk it up 94 feet, and then try to make a play.
And I would argue Kawhi needs, on Nick Nurse's side of it, get him some easy buckets out of a timeout. Like, how many times in these finals, I know it's only been 2 games, but does Kawhi has he cut back door and just got an easy layup or a dunk? Like, there's...
Well, when you get into the playoffs, Nick, we know all the sets. You can't come up with no new play we don't know. Help side defense is so much better. So many guys are far more engaged in the defense. That's why the struggle in the playoffs becomes real, because the other team is far more familiar with you than any other time during the season.
But the only easy looks Kawhi's getting is from the free throw line. And fortunately, he has been spectacular from the line. He was 10 of 12 in the first game. He was 16 of 16 in the second game. So he's 26 of 28 from the line because he only made 13 shots in this series. He's only shooting 38% in this series. This is where it gets harder for everybody. And the Warriors have done a spectacular job of making life hard on the other team's best option. Like, maybe some of that James Harden slander everyone was engaging in after round 2. After we see what happened to Damian Lillard, let's see what happens in these finals to Kawhi Leonard. We might realize, hey, the Warriors, their coaching staff, their players, the experience, Iggy and Draymond and Klay and that length, they can make life hard on the great players in this league.
Don't you think Game 3 could be a good opportunity to get the rest of the Raptors involved? You knew that the Warriors are going to be shorthanded, most likely. This could be a good time to get the guys that weren't shooting well, give them a a little confidence, maybe take a couple minutes for Kawhi where he'd be desperately out there? Because you know this is going to be the only not break, but game where they're not going to be at full strength.
Yeah, it becomes very, very important, especially that they're backcourt. You talked about putting Kawhi off the ball. If I'm Nick Nurse, I'm not having Kawhi bring the ball up anymore. Kawhi is a great one-on-one player, but the Warriors are not going to let you play one-on-one basketball, i.e. Houston, James Harden, the point guard, take the ball out of his hand, all right, i.e. Portland, take the ball out of Damian Lillard's hand, 4-0 sweep. Kawhi is not a point guard, but because Kyle Lowry is struggling, like we need to bring him up. Part of his struggle has really led to Kawhi being able to struggle, because Kyle Lowry should be playing 40 minutes a game. He should be scoring about 18 to 20 points a game. He's not doing those things, making a lot of stupid fouls. So if he's able to bring the ball up, him and Van Vliet, if they're able to bring the ball up, Kawhi can get his mid-range. He can start on the baseline. But if they don't play well, Kawhi Leonard's play will be affected, because he shouldn't have to bring the ball up the court at 6'7", because they are not going to let you play one-on-one basketball. And you have to give a lot of credit to the Golden State Warriors. Since the playoffs, they're playing the elite defense that had them in the finals, all right? And this is the worst defensive team that they've had in 5 years. But in the playoffs, they're playing type of defense that win you a championship.
And I'll add to that, the formula to win was game one. If you really think of 5 guys in double figures, they moved the ball. I thought Kawhi made great plays late, even though he didn't have a great offensive game, but he made some plays late in that game. And then also you got to figure out, how can I get these other guys open shots? Because they can't get their own shot. Danny Green can't get his own shot. No. That's where you got to count on Kyle Lowry, who's supposed to be your starting point guard. Maybe putting him in the pick and roll and you creating and trying to get those guys a shot. So this got to mix up the offense and putting too much pressure on a guy we don't know. They're saying he's hurt a little bit on Kawhi Leonard to do so much on the offensive end.
And listen, obviously the Warriors, or the Raptors need, in order to beat the 2-time defending champs, they need their second, third, fourth, and fifth best players, at least 3 of those guys in each game, to have a good game, any game they're going to win. But the biggest reason some people were picking the Raptors in this series, I think the biggest reason you guys picked the Raptors in this series, was Kawhi Leonard was coming off back-to-back masterpieces in 7 games against Philly and 6 games against Milwaukee. Against Philly, 35, 10, and 4 and over 50% and great defense. Against Milwaukee, 30, 10, and 4 with elite, best since I've seen since Scottie Pippen perimeter defense. In the finals thus far, it's 29, 10, 4, 38%, and the defensive impact, because there isn't a Giannis to take out of the game, hasn't been felt as much. If the Raptors are going to win this series, barring more Warriors just falling victim to injury,
there aren't that many left.
Right. They need Kawhi, who has a chance to steal the mantle as the best player alive, to play like it over these next 5 games. Like, that is the Raptors' clearest path. We know he can do it because we saw him do it in the previous 2 rounds. He needs to do it in the NBA Finals.
All right, good stuff. Antone, we'll see you a little bit later on in the show. Coming up, hey, is it Super Bowl or bust for one Patrick Mahomes? That's next on First Things First.